Well, we welcome Kit Burke and Sandra Sines of the Quincy Animal Shelter remotely to chat about what's going on behind the scenes there at the shelter on Broad Street and how you might be able to help them. So, ladies, nice to virtually see you both. Thanks for spending some time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's our pleasure. I, was just wondering to myself, I'm sure that all the animals at the shelter are being cared for, but I'm just wondering how this pandemic has impacted you there right now.
Well, obviously we've had to make some changes in our normal scheduling. We have gone from 2 shifts a day to 1. We've gone to what I'm going to call a skeleton crew to minimize the number of people in the building at one time. This week, we've asked the volunteers to all wear masks. We're all disinfecting and wiping and all of those things. We've had some volunteers and friends of volunteers that have made masks to offset the lack of availability on the commercial ones. And we have no dogs in the building. The ones that we have are in foster homes, so that's working out really well for the dogs. And cats, I think right now we have about 36 cats in foster homes. Some of them were already out there, anything from kittens to a senior that's in hospice. But the crew's coming in once a day now in the morning. I'm doing the cat care, leaving additional food and topping off water and everything. So they're physically fine. They're also, the volunteers are making sure that they take some time to play with the cats and get them out of the cages and move them around, because I don't think cats mind being alone so much, but it's just you don't want them to just be in a cage.
Sure. About how many would you say are at the shelter?
Probably about 12.
Okay. All right. And I'm assuming you're not taking in any new animals at this point. Is that right?
We're not taking in any animals unless it's an emergency. We occasionally get animals that the owner has passed away. Well, this is a city building, so we need to accommodate those folks. I think since this all started, we've only had one cat come in. It was actually an injured animal that a Good Samaritan found in Quincy and took to BCA in South Weymouth. And then once they stabilized the animal, they called animal control, and now he's with us. So, it's quiet here, and we're not used to that so much. So.
Yeah, for folks listening or watching who maybe want to help, what's some ways they can do that?
Well, obviously donations are always welcome. I have had a couple of conversations with folks that they want to talk about an experience that they've had with us that was good, or an adoption. And what I said to someone yesterday was, at a time like this, volunteers, it's very energizing for them to hear that kind of feedback. What really motivates the volunteers on a daily basis is caring for the animals, but ultimately seeing the animals they've cared for going into a new home. That's not happening right now because our adoptions are shut off, at least for the time being. So I would say if anyone has something that they'd like to share about an experience with us, assuming that it's good, of course, our website, our Facebook page, Instagram, any of those ways, it's a real boost to the volunteers. And, they're coming out here because we're considered essential. We have live animals here, but, it's still a risk, I guess. And beyond that, we've been really pleasantly surprised with the number of people from the public that have reached out to offer to foster animals for us during this pandemic. And we haven't had to use them for the feline side yet, but we're certainly acknowledging the offer and letting them know how much we appreciate it. And one of our dogs is with someone that we didn't know prior to all of this. So people are really trying to help. What we're going to need the most is very hard to come by right now, and that's paper towels. So I'm sure that once the supply gets caught up some, our supporters will help us out with that.
Yeah, these paper products have become white gold for some reason during this crisis. Sandra, I know that you're concerned. This is getting into be kitten season real soon, right here in the springtime.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of concerns, but you're right. Kitten season is virtually right around the corner, and we don't really know what's going to happen yet. I think that there's a real possibility that we could have an explosive kitten season because all of the activities around, getting pregnant cats safe and into a shelter and trapping kittens and stuff is just not able to be a priority. And I guess Kit can probably speak to this as well, but spay neuter activities are not going to be nearly as accessible as they normally are. So I have to say, I've been thinking a lot about this, and we have some fears. Obviously, I believe the Quincy Animal Shelter is going to be okay, will be okay, but a lot of people don't realize that in New England, we have made incredible strides in animal welfare, and our numbers were down in the last couple of months, which is something to be celebrated. What we're concerned about is, and Kit and I have been doing a lot of research with support groups and seeing what other shelters in other areas are doing and experiencing, is that we hope this doesn't set us back because we could experience a lot of surrenders from people due to illness. They can no longer care their pets because they're sick, or because of economic reason, they lost their job, or maybe they can't stay in their house. So, we're really hopeful that that won't happen, but it could happen. And then the kitten season on top of it, it could be a perfect storm from going to a very comfortable place to, back to the way it was 5 years ago where every cage is full. And that puts a big strain on the shelter. To add what Kit was saying, fundraising is probably the other hardest hit area for us. Normally this time of year, we probably have a couple of events going. We're planning for the second and third quarter. We really can't do that the way that we used to. We're going to have to start thinking of things to do online and be more creative, but we're behind in our fundraising efforts. We are very grateful to those who have sent donations into us. And we hope that people would consider doing a couple of things. One is we still have our 20 songs going on strong, but also what Kit was saying is our volunteers are so special, and this is really tough for them. I was talking to a volunteer this morning who she said, I miss the place so much because one of the ones on the skeleton crew, it's hard for them. The shelter is a great source of satisfaction, socialization, and they just don't have that right now. So what I was going to suggest to people is if you'd like to make a donation, maybe you make it in honor of one of our volunteers, a small donation just to say thank you for them, because we couldn't do everything we've done in the last years without them.
That's a great suggestion. Yeah, I think just words of encouragement and support, especially now, mean an awful lot. And let's not forget the U.S. mail is still functioning. So if folks want to, mail photos or cards or letters or donations to the shelter, I'm sure that'd be helpful as well.
Oh, absolutely. And they can also do all of that through our website. Mm-hmm. We have a donation button right on the website, theanimalshelter.org. And they can also send us pictures of their animals they've adopted. So there's lots of ways for us to still communicate.
Sure. I
And
wanted to ask you both
also,
a little bit about, so many folks are home all the time now as we're all kind of hunkered down here. And how is that, do you think, impacting, pets in the homes? It's everybody's routines, including theirs, has been, upended. So, is that something we should be aware of?
I'm working from home. I'm working from home for the last month for my day job. And I have my dog by my feet every second of the day. I think my dog loves it. My cats, on the other hand, are offended that we're home so much. But I think that, it's great for the animals, but it's a really good point because there's a lot of conversation about what are they going to do when we go back to work.
That's right.
So, I'm sure they don't understand what's going on at all. It is what I learned today on Facebook. It is National Hug Dog Day. So I recommend that everybody do that. Do it safely. My dog doesn't like to be hugged, but I'll do it anyway.
What do you think, Kit?
I think that that the animals, as Sandra said, especially the dogs, are thrilled to have us around more often. But I think that there are things in their routines that are different right now as well. I know a lot of folks use the dog parks, and that's a great source of socialization for their animals. That is not something that I would recommend doing, anytime soon. Groomers for dogs that are, have the type of coats and whatnot that need that clip or brush out and whatnot, they're closed. There's no groomers. Daycare. Now, with the people being home, if they're working from home, then that offsets the daycare. But for any pet owners that are considered essential workers right now, the dogs aren't in daycare. So right. The one thing about this whole pandemic is when you start to look at one thing, it seems then it just affects, ripple effect to everyone and everything, it seems.
Yeah.
I would just like to add something that Sandra said before about, about the possible kind of explosion of what could come this season. And she's absolutely right, because what has really helped to keep the numbers down in the last 5 to 10 years has been people that were doing what we call trap, neuter, return for feral cats, getting them spayed and neutered before they can create litters of kittens. And based on the recommendations of some of the big national humane organizations, they've basically said that has to be put on hold right now. Because the Veterinary Society or Association and also University of California at Davis, they really pioneered the whole thing of shelter medicine and whatnot. But everyone has come out and said spay-neuter is not considered essential surgery.
Okay.
In terms, emergency, yes. But so Sandra's absolutely right. The potential what's coming from this is a deluge of kittens and cats again. So
sure,
we'll have to see how that goes, but could happen.
Makes the monetary donations all that more important right now to prepare for that, just in case, for sure.
Okay.
Have you heard at all about any kind of shortages in pet food? Like we've seen in the grocery stores for people food. Is that an issue at all?
Well, so far for us, we have not had any shortages, luckily. Personally, I order for my own pets food online from Chewy.com, and I have things that are automatically scheduled, like every 5 weeks or whatever. And in the last month, twice now, it's happened that they're sending a notification that it's going to be late. So that people that supply product from an online perspective, are seeing a big bump in their business.
Sure.
And I guess that's good for them.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard or haven't seen any issues with, the local pet stores, Pet Supplies Plus, Petco,
Yep.
and so on. So I don't think that that's an issue.
Good.
What could be is if folks are not able to get out as much. I was made aware of someone that just needed to get some food. It wasn't even so much a financial situation. It was just the ability to actually get it. So, I mean, if anyone's having a problem with that, I'm not saying that we can provide it all to them.
Right.
But if someone needs a hand, they certainly should at least give us a call and let's see if we can help.
Okay. What's a good phone number, Kim?
617-376-1349.
Very good. And the website, quincyanimalshelter.org.
Yes.
Pretty simple, yeah. I've heard conflicting reports about whether or not pets can contract coronavirus. Do either one of you have any information about that?
I don't think they know.
Yeah.
They being the authorities. It's been, both cats and dogs have their own version, if you will, of the coronavirus. It's not the same strain, and we've never been able to contract it from them. And I think that it's still the popular thought is that they can't give it to us and we can't give it to them. That's been the thinking. Though the question that has come up is if an animal is in a home with someone who becomes sick, and therefore is perhaps coughing or sneezing, can the animal transmit to another human just because the surface of their coat acts like any other surface? I don't think that they even know that. And I know that there have been some stories, popping up. Everyone's heard about the tiger that tested positive. I'm not sure why. Why would you test a tiger? I just seems odd to me. But at any rate, I think at this point, people in the animal world are advising everyone to be extra cautious because they don't have some of these answers.
I think that's good advice. Yeah. What do you think, Sandra?
Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands.
Yeah.
I think everything that Kit just said is correct, is that we really don't know. So it's better to err on the side of caution and, wash your hands. I wanted to mention one thing, and an issue that's come up and people have asked us a little bit. And one thing is, the question is, so is now the time to adopt an animal? I've had lots of people say, well, we're home we could be home for a month or two, let's get a pet, And I think that in some circumstances, that is an excellent idea. If you've already been thinking about it, you're already, have the resource to do it, and you understand that it's a lifelong commitment, then you should definitely contact some local animal shelters. Everybody's doing things locally, but if you are looking to adopt an animal, by all means, go and do that. However, if you're just bored because you're in a quarantine and you're all going to be going back to work in 4 or 5 weeks and you really haven't thought it through, I would suggest you to really think through it and make sure the whole family is on board. I've lots of people, whether it be on Facebook or in person, inquire about it. And I don't think that the decision-making process changed at all. Because that need is to be bounced around again.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. And it certainly wouldn't be fair to the animal where they get used to, one certain routine because everyone's home. And then all of a sudden the brakes are slammed on and then, they're left alone or their whole routine has changed. So, yeah, I think that's good advice. What do you think, Kit?
Yeah, I agree with Sandra. I'm totally on that. You know, animals are live beings. You know, if you just want something to cuddle for a few weeks, get a stuffed animal. You know, it's like people have always talked about the fact that probably less so now, but you know, let's get a little rabbit for the children for Easter.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then they all end up in shelters. So I think Sandra's advice is absolutely the way to go. You know, you've got to look beyond the next few weeks or next month or two and see, you know, do you really want that commitment?
Yeah. Are either one of you concerned that the plans for the new animal shelter might be delayed because of what's going on right now?
Well, I don't know if it's going to be delayed. We haven't heard that,
Okay.
but obviously, you know, we certainly understand, and we hope everyone understands that we're very well aware that we're an animal shelter and what's going on with human beings. And certainly the mayor and his staff are very tip with that. So I would imagine that we'll be on the back burner for a little bit, but we've not heard any plan to not go forward.
Yeah, let's hope that continues for sure. Yeah, is the dog park up at Quarry Street completed or near completion?
Last I was told, it was near completion. I don't know, but again, I think they had pretty much planned for like a spring ribbon cutting and whatnot, and
Right.
that's not something anybody should be doing right now.
Right. Yeah.
And as Sandra said, you know, people are being so broadly impacted by all of this. Certainly the small businesses and the economics of everything. I wouldn't be surprised, nor would I be really offended in any way if things get pushed off a bit. I mean, you have to take care of the people.
Sure, absolutely. Anything else we should add to let folks know about what's going on at the
I'd like to add one thing, and again, thank you so much for having us. We've all been, you know, far apart as well. But one thing that came to mind is that most for the last 1 year is success is the community, the donations that we've received. And as we all know, one of the hardest hit areas has been the restaurant community. All been shut down. I mean, there's many types of businesses, but over the last 20 years, restaurants, hair salons, you know, animal-friendly businesses interest us with cards and gift baskets and, you know, sponsoring for events. So, you know, all we ask is our supporters could, in turn, you know, help them out too, because we're all in this together, as they say. You know, so
Yep, absolutely.
they've been great.
They need a lot of help to get through this. Some of them might not rebound to some of the smaller ones. There is some help through the city, but yeah, anything anybody can do in terms of getting takeout or delivery or even gift cards.
Exactly. Get a gift card.
So anything else, Kit?
I'm set. I think that's great, and that's an excellent point about the restaurants. I hope you stay safe and healthy.
Likewise, I hope both of you do as well. And if we can be any assistance here at QATV to get information out, don't hesitate to get a hold of me, and we'll get it out there for you.
You really appreciate it, Joe. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.